In another row. Go ahead, got it? All right. In order.
We're going to see.
Yeah.
Five-minute recess right now. Wait. So parties that need really.
I think they call them comfort breaks.
So that's the relief.
That's the new term, comfort break.
I call you back.
Back your pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should ask you for tips, man. It's interesting for sure.
Oh, yeah, on you guys.
I'm sorry. My past.
There was a lot. That's why I said three. There was a lot.
Yeah, there was a line, that's true.
Okay, we're going to re-adjourn the regular meeting.
Reconvene. Yeah, adjourn would be
I'm trying to. All right, so the next item is action items. Item A is approval of the FDOT Transportation Grant Agreement. 438-494-2-94-01 Amendment 1 and associated resolution in the amount of $1,500,000 for construction of the replacement air traffic control tower at Space Coast Region. Jim?
All right, thank you, sir. FDOT is offering an additional $1.5 million in funding assistance for our new air traffic control tower here. If you recall, we received the first round of funding around the springtime, around $2 million. So they're just adding kind of the second installment. So this grant amendment will bring FDOT's total to date to $4.5 million. Authority's local match will increase to $1.5 million for the project. We did open bids May 23rd. So we're still waiting for our federal amount to come in, which we were hoping it was going to come in this meeting, but looks like it's going to be next meeting. So we're hoping to bring the construction contract back to y'all next month along with the federal grant. But we're happy to answer any questions. We're recommending approval.
So we're up for we have an obligation of 1.5 million.
So that's the grant amount, 1.5 million. And the whole project will be increased to 4.5 for the
Kevin, I think what he was asking
What's
is
our
matching?
Yeah, it's an 80-20. It's not much. It's like 40,000, something like that. I should have had that on
Charge Sam is what we ended up with 25 left over.
So we got, it's about 40,000, you think?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I should have had that in the ready.
I move to approve the agreement.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, approval. Requested approval. FDOT Public Transportation Grant Agreement number 4384
94-3-49, I'm sorry, -94-01, and associated resolution in the amount of $177,777 for construction of the air traffic control tower and Space Coast Regional Airport. Kevin.
So we're anticipating another $2 million in federal funding. This is the 8% match that we would normally receive from FDOT. So they're offering $177,777 in funding assistance for the construction. And our 2% local match would be $44,444. So we're recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
So that would be in addition to the 40,000 from the first approval. This is, so we'll have a total now of 80,000 of
Yes,
local
sir.
match.
We're very excited to get started on this project.
I move to approve the grant.
Okay. First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approval, selection committee ranking for request for qualifications, RFQ 2024-001, insurance brokerage services, authorize staff to enter into contract negotiations with top ranked firm.
If you recall, last year, it was kind of a challenging year for airport insurance premiums, and candidly, we were not pleased with the Brown & Brown brokerage situation. So we asked Dr. Byers to come in, develop a request for qualifications, put together a selection committee, and act as a facilitator for this process. So I'll open the floor to him to explain an overview of what we did and the responses and recommendation.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. Dave Byers, Qualtrics Aviation. As Kevin mentioned, we did prepare a set of requests for qualifications for an insurance brokerage firm with experience in airport insurance. So back in May, we actually published that RFQ. We sent it out directly to 7 firms that we were able to identify that appeared to be qualified to handle airport insurance. Out of that group, in June, we received 3 qualification packages. Took a look at them and we formed the selection committee. Everybody had a chance to review those, and, score them based on the criteria that we laid out in the RFQ package. And the results you see in the handout, the way they were ranked was Gallagher first, McGriff second, Brown & Brown third. And you can see the various evaluation criteria that we use. So it's pretty much open, fair. We didn't get a lot of questions back, so we assume that pretty much laid out our expectations. So, but it seemed that the Gallagher firm pretty much had the most experience, preeminently qualified in the airport. That was one thing I think impressed everybody. It's just their list of airport clients versus regular commercial insurance clients really stood out. So the recommendation is to have the director, authorize the director to enter negotiations for a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options, and get them starting to put together an insurance package based on what coverages that they feel are appropriate. They had pretty much all the information on the existing coverages. So we'll expect them to come back with some recommendations if there's things that need to be adjusted. But we may not be able to get the direct read on the premiums just yet, but before the September meeting, I think you'll have a much better idea of what the premiums are going to be for the next year's insurance coverages. So we'll entertain any questions you might have.
Question. So I'm not sure in this potential contract or in this contract, will the premiums be fixed in those 3 years, or is there a potential for like an economic price adjustment or?
Well, I think there's 2 questions there. One is the premiums. They'll probably change from year to year based on exposures and coverages, based on the base insurance environment. Actually, as we interviewed all three firms, we learned a lot about maybe some things that you may want to consider. But as far as their compensation, that's going to be part of the negotiation contract, whether you're going to work off of their commissions or a fixed fee for the year. But
Okay.
it's not just, underwriting the insurance coverages, but there's a lot of other services, risk management, things that you may want to consider as far as just safety items, to mitigate the risk. So all that contributes to reducing your premiums over time.
And making sure we're not overinsured or underinsured. And this Gallagher group was pretty impressive. A long list of aerospace clients. So I think the selection committee, we were basically all in agreement with them.
Awesome.
So we're to expect a report of what's going to be covered.
Yes, by next meeting, it'll be, I hope, just here's what you have until October 1, is which when the new policies should be in place. Like I said, we may not have all the information on the premiums, but well on our way of establishing what that is going to be before the end of the fiscal year.
There'll be a summary of what's going to be covered. Buildings, liability.
And it's a big, long list, in terms of all the coverages that you do have now,
We own a lot of stuff.
and a lot of stuff going on.
Was that, expect that for the August meeting or the September meeting?
The coverages themselves, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape to tell you what coverages do you need, what types of policies, what the price tag is going to be on those policies. Probably won't be ready until September, but it's not going to be a shock.
Okay,
But we're hoping to bring the contract back for the services at the next meeting.
got it. Okay.
That is one.
Any other questions? Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the request for qualifications.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next day. You get all the great assignments.
Thank you. Waiting for the next one.
All right, that brings us to item D, annual performance review, Director of Airports. How do we do this? John,
Anything you wanna
John
think of?
must be here.
I think I'm amazing.
Been nice having you, Kevin.
Yeah. Had a good run.
No,
John, you
instead of,
called to
instead of-
you.
instead of dismissing Kevin, I would appreciate if everyone could maybe just give a 1-minute summary, just maybe a couple of the positives, obviously, from your report, but any of the suggestions or things that you might want to see in the year going forward from Kevin, so that he can take those notes. And then obviously you each have your own opportunity to speak with them individually about those things. But in a public forum, I think we should, make sure we give Kevin his accolades, but also any direction that the individual board members would like to see.
I'll just start.
Who wants to speak?
Kevin, I think you're doing a great job. What I've seen going on in the last couple of years here, is really turning the airport around.
Thank you.
The only thing I would like to see a little different, I'd like to see more quantitative metrics. We do this every year, and you tell us what you're doing. I'd like you to forecast what you're going to do and how much you get done. I would like to see that, because that's the only way to really measure.
Maybe start doing it quarterly too. I think you
Okay.
made that point too, so
And,
definitely.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, who's next?
I'll I'll go next. I'm not shy. So Kevin, amazing job. Some of the highlights, I really personally loved seeing all the progress that you and your organization and the board made in the airport master plans, the spaceport plan. I think that just lays out a vision to bring in more business development, give us a whole new overhaul. So really appreciate your leadership in that area, relationship with the board, with the community. I mean, I personally appreciate a lot of times when he'll keep me apprised of issues. He does a really good job with his staff, giving us, was it bi-monthly meeting minutes, which shows a lot of his involvement, which we may not glean from each and every meeting, of being out in the communities, working with the government officials. And so really appreciate you continuing to represent our board very well out in the public and the community. In terms of, you know, constructive things, please forgive me, but there was that, is there business development or outreach person that you hired on?
Lisa, yep.
Lisa, is she here today? But I would love to hear from her at least once every 3 or 4
Sure.
meetings, or maybe every meeting, to hear kind of like what's new and outreach, business development, what has she participated in? I'd love to see that. And then kind of to tie in with what you just last said, and I might be the only one amiss here, but I know you did a great job in publishing your goals and objectives for us to see for your evaluation. I'd love to see, you know, once a quarter you stand up and say, hey, here's my goals and here's how I'm doing, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah, a lot of, when I say a lot of reason I don't do that, I always try to keep our meetings at an hour, because I know you all have other businesses, family obligations. So I just need to, you know, push that aside and, you know, just have that on the agenda every quarter. So I will do that.
Mind you, I had to stretch to find things, but those
No,
are
no, I
things
know.
that I thought of,
I don't
that I
disagree with
think,
you.
you know, love to see.
Roger's
Thanks, Kevin.
staring at me right now.
Hey, Kevin, you've done a really good job. I was here when we brought you on to clean up a really bad mess we've had. I believe we're now, as of this year, past all of our messes, unless there's any surprises that I can't anticipate it. You've done a good job of cleaning up the mess and getting our accounting straightened out, getting our problems straightened out, getting things. You've done a really good job of community involvement. You worked really hard at that, and done a good job of keeping the board informed. I really like that. The one thing that I'm hoping that we can do better is allocation of our limited cash, and that I'm a pilot. I came on the board to kind of be a representative of the pilots out here to fix these hangars and things. But there's only X amount of money to go around, and I wish we'd concentrate a little more on getting hangars fixed and do away with some other things. We bought a lot of new equipment since you came on board, $1 million worth probably. Bought property. We bought a lot of things. I'd like to go back now to working on allocating our cash to better fix the assets that we have.
We're actually working with the FDOT on that to come up, and we're gonna find out if they'll be willing to do it, but have an annual number that they'll give us to put back into these hangars, because we've run the numbers on building new hangars. I mean, it just does not make any sense. So we need to continue to invest into our assets. And right now we're doing the Band-Aid, and we need a better plan.
We need a better plan. That's
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Sure. Otherwise, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Brad?
Well, pretty much what everybody said so far. The turnaround that you've done from what was going on before, I was not here to be part of that, but I knew people that were, and I heard stories. So congratulations on how much improvement you've done there. Your community outreach and involvement has been very impressive. We are known far and wide, and you are respected far and wide. Your leadership and your tenacity to take on difficult tasks and stick with them to make progress is impressive. The idea of more quantitative review of specifics, a little bit of that would be appreciated. Other than that, your diversity in places that you're looking for business, between the space side of it, the aviation side of it, and we've even talked maritime, which is an area of interest that I'm involved in, about potential for that involvement. Things like the FPL property down US 1 and so on and so forth. So you've got feelers out. You're doing a great job of doing everything, and I think we're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the real estate. I think you're doing a great job. The first phase, the house cleaning part, which you've done a lot of, but it's getting clean. And I hope we can expect you to really shift gears now, and you'll have more time freed up from having to go patch up things in the past, and really see where you could take it. I'm looking forward to doing it, seeing what you can do. Your communication with us is fantastic. Bi-monthly reports. I wouldn't mind hearing a little more in depth on BizDel development and those, so just kind of highlights that you'd like to know a little more about what in detail, because I hear from other people, hey, you ever doing this? Like, no, I didn't. But communication with us is fantastic. I think at the board level, I think the authority in general could still improve communications with the stakeholder tenants. The word still doesn't seem to get out. Maybe when we closure today, no, but I mean, you're doing a great job. That's something I would say is in general, but your leadership is great. And working through all this stuff. Fantastic.
Well, I would tell you, we have two great people here, Christy and Justin. I don't do this stuff by myself. We have great leadership. We have great employees. I mean, we have high level employees, high performers. I'm very fortunate. We went through some painstaking replacements when I first got here. And I begged the FAA for planning money. Doing a master plan is exhausting. We're rounding second, heading for third, then we're going to be heading for home. Really pushing to get that done, and we'll have our vision and start implementing it. So I'm very excited about the future.
John, are you there?
I am. I will just echo what I think Al put it very well from my perspective. I think Kevin's doing a fantastic job. I will say that, I think 3 years in now, I think the honeymoon's kind of over. It's time to see what Kevin really envisions this authority as a whole, what it's going to do. We hired him not only to fix stuff, but then to take us to another level. And I think now this is the time where we get to see, what he sees that next level being. One of the things, and I take this as a personal hit on myself, is that I need to work closer with Kevin to work on those metrics that Al talked about, the goals and those things. That's something that the board as a whole, and specifically the board chair, should be working with the director hand in hand to see where those goals are, so that I can communicate those things back to the board on a consistent level. So I take that personally, and Kevin and I will work together to make sure that happens, I think, over the next few months. But otherwise, Kevin's doing a great job. The communication, the bi-monthly thing, I can't emphasize enough, Kevin. It is exactly what we needed for a long time. The fact that Justin is still here, if he's in the room, I'm just making a joke, but
He just keeps coming.
he keeps coming back for some reason. But anyway, I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for what you've put into this community, and I look forward to all of us working together to make this just even a much better place than it already is.
Okay, so there's no real action that we're going to take at this time. So I think that would be something that we put to the next meeting. So John's here. All right, so
We have budget to take into consideration.
what?
We have budget to take into consideration.
Okay, so that takes us to H, which is the Deputy Director of Operations and Maintenance. Item A, capital improvement project update. So
Question, back to Christie, did you have something that needs to be addressed tonight?
Well, I'm just stating I need to know something, preferably I'm going to be providing the preliminary budget to you in August, which will then go into September board meeting for approval. So the numbers need to be pretty much tied down when we get to our August meeting. They're also due to the county.
Thank you.
All right, real quick, project update. Challenger Avenue Extension, design, it's kind of paused right now. We have to go back to Space Florida and see if we get some more money, work on some more drainage design to find more room for water. So that's ongoing on Space Florida. 1836, that's moving along right now. We're just waiting on money, I think, to get the grants in place. We have the grants in, we're just waiting on the approval and the money to come from the FAA.
I think they're just waiting on the congressional announcement at this point. That's what's holding up the other money as well. So I suspect we'll have the grants next month.
Hopefully we can go to construction, beginning of the year. Same with, control tower. You've got a little update on that earlier. We've got the low bid, waiting on some FAA money to come in. That's part of that same, congressional, money. So as soon as we get that, I think we can hopefully bring the contract next month and get that moving. I don't have a slide. The AWAS, since we're going through closeouts, we're having a little issue with the Merritt Island one. There's a problem with the modem, the manufacturer sending another one, so that should be fixed here shortly. I'm also getting internet access to both the new ones that support that, so that data can be uploaded and aggregated out to like ForFlight and all that stuff, so you can just check on that stuff there instead of calling in or listening on frequency. That should be happening in the next 2 weeks or so. We will probably have a change order coming to the board next month for the AWATS project. The contractor ran over quantities on some directional boring, so we're working with the state right now to get that funded. Corporate hangar at Merritt Island, will be the death of me. That we went for the CO and the county has to review. We went back under county review. The engineers felt we built it. We cut some costs in the beginning, but that wasn't as designed.
Value engineering.
Yeah, value engineering. Thank you. The engineers felt that was field change, so it should be acceptable, but they want to review it again. I think their biggest complaint is there's 2 parking spots on the ramp for cars instead of 3. So hopefully we'll get that. They said 5 to 6 weeks. It's all the paperwork been submitted. Now we're just waiting. We did start the runway design project at Merritt Island. So as Mr. Granger said, the runway was closed. We did put in NOTAMs a week ago, and we did send out some emails. But it will be closed today. It was closed today. It begins tomorrow, same time, 8 to 4, and then Monday and Tuesday next week we're going to do survey and geotech work. Noise complaints, 3 here, 1 at Arthur Dunn, 2 at Merritt Island. It's the same people that call. Daily operations, Arthur Dunn slowed down a little bit, 59 average on a day. Space Coast here 224 and Merritt Island 340.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hi, Deputy Director of Finance and Administration, check register.
Okay, good evening. Any questions on the check register?
Okay, item B.
So moving on to the next item are the financial statements. So going on with these financial statements, I would just like to preface it that they're not preliminary, but in a way they are preliminary because we still have some issues that are outstanding from what was presented during the audit this past year that are not completed. They are in work in progress, so we're looking forward to having those completed, but they have to be completed before we complete this year's numbers. And part of it, you can see where our numbers may be restated for years 21, 22, 23. Based off of the lease, recommendations that need to be cleaned up. So moving on to the balance sheet for 6/30/2024, our current assets are currently at 2.6 million. We have total assets of 89.1 million. And then we have total deferred outflows of resources of $354,392. As far as our liabilities are concerned, current liabilities are at 1.9 million, which I would like to point out, the major account that I'm speaking about this evening is the unearned revenue, which is at $1,161,942. And you're probably wondering, well, what makes that balance? So what goes into that balance every single month is we do have tenants who prepay their rent. So we cannot include that in this current month. So we report it as a liability because it's not ours till the following month. So that's running at about $40,624 in this balance. And then we have deferred revenue, which is just an outstanding item that we have already recorded as income from FDOT, but it's a correction from a vendor that we were later get back. And then we have the VAC ramp and we have the Granger unearned revenue. So the VAC currently has rent credits because of the cash they put forward for the rents of about $578,352. And then Mr. Granger has rent credits of about $440,627. However, that balance, like I said, the revenue that still needs to be clarified and redone is in the amount of about $42,719 for 21-24. And then for all three that have to be taken into consideration this year as March, would include an additional almost $9,000. So we also have a receivable. So even though we have given rent credits in a certain amount for funds for what he's responsible for, 50% of the construction costs of the hangar, we have not received all that cash. So that is a receivable on our books. And when we back that out, that's about $165,000. So right now, overall, rent credits should be approximately $902,426. So that's a difference of $216,552. Okay. So I just want you to keep that in mind because I cannot correct that until we get everything straightened out. But it is a factor that's going to carry forward in our financials until it is corrected. So, do you have any questions on that?
About that truest line of credit.
Oh, yes, and that is great to mention that the tourist line of credit was paid off, it's retired. So we no longer have that, and that was taken out a couple of years ago, so we worked aggressively. Paid.
We still have the line of credit we used to do.
Correct, we just do not have a balance. So, moving forward with non-current liabilities, for our total liabilities, we have 3.5 million. We have deferred inflows of about 18.4 million. And so that leaves us net investment 66.5 million, which we have restricted cash of 995,000. And then unrestricted, we are at 55,000 as of the end of June. So when we move on to the income statement, consolidated, our total operating revenue to date for the 9 months ended 6/30/2024 is a little over 3 million. We have operating expenses of 2.2 million, depreciation of 1.9, so total operating expenses of 4.1. So we have a loss of 1.1 million, including depreciation. We have non-operating expenses of a little over 7,000, almost 8,000. So we have a loss before contributions of 1.1 million, and capital contributions that we received today at 2.2. So that brings our change in net position of 1.1 million. And again, leaving us at our net position of 67.5 million. Okay. Now moving on to the budget, actual, I'm not gonna go through every single number. We should be around about 75% in line with each category. And you know, can let me know if you have any questions.
I know you've explained it before with the building leases.
Right. Okay, so when we changed over to QuickBooks, we were able to break down our leases further. And as we move forward, unfortunately, we couldn't do that in all one fell swoop because it's just been a lot to clean up. So, when we moved to the new chart of accounts, we broke out leases between aeronautical and non-aeronautical. And we're still in the process where in previous years, a lease might have been lumped all underneath building. But if you have categories on your income statement that can break it out between building, land, and whatnot, then it should be so appropriately. So we have those numbers where we can break out what portion is for the building, and what portion is for land. So we're just trying to make everything more accurate. Okay.
Do we know what's the reason for the big drop in the storage unit?
The drop in the storage unit leases, right now, the ones that are mainly open are the ones that are not air conditioned. And that's,
Is that a regular seasonal thing?
Yeah, there's some of the units too that you will never be able to rent, just the way they're located inside the facility. Can't get a truck in them, it's impossible.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you,
all right, thank
Crystal.
you. Appreciate it.
All right. That brings us to the authority, report from the authority attorney.
Nothing from me.
Right. And then reports from authority members. Roger?
No report.
No report.
No report.
No report too. That brings us to public comments. And we have cards. Then how we do it, or how do we do this?
Whoever would like to speak.
All right. Those are,
We need 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We can wait for it. Yeah, that's reasonable.
so is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Bill Weiler, Civil Air Patrol. I just thought you might like to know, Merritt Island Airport got attention at the EOC and from Secretary of Agriculture Wilton Simpson this week. Because they are wanting to restore having us do ag damage assessment as well as structure damage assessment under the FEMA contracts. And we had the people in the squadron of Merritt Island that fit the bill. So we have any storms around, it could double the number of operations sorties that we fly out of here. Which was kind of nice to get a little visibility for that. Another thing that came up, we were reviewing our 62 squadrons around the wing. Quite a few of them have arranged with their local airport management for cadets to be available on pre-landfall preparations. If we can be of any assistance, we've got plenty of them here. They are going out on pre-storm, checking hangar doors to make sure they're properly latched, any debris. And what a great way to keep these teenage cadets busy. And it's basically free labor for everybody. So keep that in mind.
Sorry,
that,
Justin.
we can do that.
You're done.
Sadly, because of the traffic situations that we've had at Merritt Island, we had 30 international air cadets from all over the world at the Space Center for the past week for the International Air Cadet Exchange. And they loved the Space Center. We actually got them over at the Valiant Air Command for a little bit at Patrick, but we couldn't bring in 5 airplanes to do their orientation flights. So we bussed them over to Lakeland for all their flights, which hopefully we can get to a point where we can start doing massive of those again.
Why couldn't you get 5 aircraft?
Trying to do orientation flights,
Too busy.
it was too many. And we've got too many pilots that want to make sure we're not going to have any more near misses over here. That's a real hot topic in the operational risk management that every pilot fills out before they fly. There's a flag that adds a couple of points to COI right now. We'd like to get that taken off. So as a senior flight release officer, I don't get the extra flight release calls that a regular flight release officer can't do.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you.
Who would like to speak next?
I'll do a reverse public comment. I've never seen Tom in dress pants and a collared shirt.
Yeah. I dressed up just for you, Kevin, just for the event.
Means a lot.
Who you would like to speak?
Elizabeth.
Please tell us your name before you.
Good evening, everybody. This is Shine, 3584 Muirfield Drive in Titusville. And I spoke to the board and the audience last month in regard to the situation at the Merritt Island Airport. I've listened to all of the various representatives who spoke and made my comment just as an observer. And I'm still in that capacity. First of all, my heart goes out to everybody that expressed the heartfelt comments of the trainers, the students, the pilots. It's a tough situation. I am not at all involved. I don't have any skin in the game. And similarly, I spoke about that you as a board have a tough job because it sounded like that situations happened that brought it to the point where there was talk about needing for this to-fly aviation school to be basically evicted. And it had reached the point of a legal level before the courts. Also hearing tonight's comments about the great job that Kevin has done. This was well before I was in Brevard County and how things were managed and operated. And it sounds like Kevin has really tightened the reins. I don't know when on before, but you board members have fiduciary obligations, things that have to be T's crossed, I's dotted for FAA, all the other aviation authorities. Similarly, after the meeting last month, I was contacted by the owner of the aviation school and said, I would like for you to come and look at the school. I would like for you to see, because I said there's 2 sides to every story. And so I made a point to go and visit the school yesterday. And again, the heartfelt feeling once you're in that facility, it really is a very vibrant entity, and the involvement of students from around the world, as well as the people that are in the operations. Again, I don't know what is going on. I'm hoping, from what I was told from speaking to different representatives at their level, the VP and different operations, I was told that rent monies have been paid, but they said it was at the attorney's office. So I'm assuming it's an escrow. Again, I don't know the terms of the lease. I don't know how all of the arrangements have been made. If this lease was originally negotiated well before Kevin and certain terms had been stipulated that might not have been up to par of what was needing to be done, everybody froze. And so I don't know what the status is. I'm assuming that part of the closed doors session might have been in discussions about that. I would like to see how it could be mediated, that we can come to a term, try to get that operation out in whatever the time of quote eviction. That would be nearly impossible. But we all know if you rent an apartment and the landlord says you're not paying your rent, they have a right to take proper legal action. And certainly many landlords work, and I would hope work with their tenants to have some compassion, to try to see both sides. And so I don't know, again, what level it's at, but I'm hoping that some kind of an understanding could be made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm just gonna jump up here because I just have a few things that I'd like to add to it. My name is Patrick Pacifico, 30-year resident of Brevard County. I have an 18-year-old son who I have enrolled at Two Fly. So, Pacifico, just like the ocean. I'm very new to this, and I apologize if I'm going over things maybe that have gone over in earlier meetings, but I'm new to this. I'm just kind of finding out a lot about it. But I guess the only reason I really wanted to come was I hope everybody is thinking about the total ramifications of a quick eviction of this school, and maybe the eviction period. But they have 200 students at this school, 200 students, 30% of which are local residents, including my son. It's a great thing for us to have here. I don't have to send my kid up to Daytona and rent him an apartment. I don't have to send him down to Melbourne for a lot. Yeah, but and I've been very impressed by them. I have. I've flown out of Merritt Island several times. Long story there, but my point is there are 200 students that are going to be abandoned here. They're going to be abandoned. And I don't know, I run a business. I have a business here in Brevard County, down in Cocoa. I've had it for 28 years, a little bit less than these guys have been around. If somebody told me tomorrow I had 90 days to essentially shut my company down, that means bankruptcy. I don't know if they're gonna go bankrupt, but if they do go bankrupt, you know who's gonna get hurt? Those kids. 200 kids. 60 or so of them that are Brevard County residents. These kids are here on visas from other countries. What's going to happen to them? They've got rent. They've signed contracts for houses and apartments and car rentals and everything else. If you kick them out in 90 days, there's no way they're going to be able to get through this. Think about these kids. They're kids. They're all kids. The vast majority of them are 18, 19-year-old kids that are here out from another country. They don't know what that. A lot of them barely can speak the language. And you're abandoning these kids. You're screwing them over. And because if bankruptcy happens, I don't know if you guys know how flight school works. Flight school works. You basically pay the entire thing up front. What's going to happen to those kids? What's going to happen to all that money that those families saved to send their kids overseas to make a better life for themselves? Or the kids here in our community that are paying a lot of money. And I'm not saying these guys aren't going to pay the money back. I have no idea if they are or not, but I'm sorry. That's going to be really hard to do if they're having to either relocate or wind operations down. Just one thing, why an agreement or a mediation can happen to let them at least responsibly wind down their operations for the benefit of the students that are already there, I don't understand. 90 days. I couldn't shut my company. I couldn't move my company in 90 days for anything. And they're bigger than I am. It just doesn't seem responsible to our community or any of these kids. So that's my 2 cents.
Quick question. Appreciate you coming to talk, and out of curiosity, what is your aviation background?
That's why I said it's a long story. I basically got up to about 80 hours. I couldn't pass my medical. My son and I were taking lessons at the same time out of Merritt Island. Not with them, but we had a private teacher up through about 85. I got to about 85 hours. Couldn't pass my medical, so he continued on. And yeah.
So your pain.
So, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I want to talk.
Good evening. Could you state your name?
I'm Mr. Rivera. I'm a veteran. I want to say something about this school.
Where is it you're from? Titusville?
Mary Island. The school works as a proficient entity. However, I see there's some favoritism to certain group from the EA side. There's somebody that wants to shut down the school a long time ago. That is wrong. The other thing that I hear is the actions of the foreign student. I feel that that's the racial discrimination from this group. There's no reason to discriminate because of color or how they speak. So I had to tell the guys and you to stop chasing the school. Let them be professionals. On the other hand, people say it's difficult and dangerous to fly in Mary Island. It's not only the school. There are a lot of people, pilots, they don't care about the safety. Some of them, they want to fly BX all the time because the noise in the other side. That's called favoritism to the east side of Mary Island, right? There's no way I can fly BX all the time. It puts a lot of stress on the engine. Secondly, if you go at nighttime and go BX, get inside the cloud, especially disorientation, you want to kill the guy. You're trying to take the pilot responsibility. I am the pilot commander of the airplane. I will fly the profile that I need to fly safe the airplane. I don't need nobody to tell me how to fly my aircraft. Not even the FAA. I fly within the guidance, but safety is first. In contrast, the noise is more prominent to these folks. That is not right. One point I want to say, a couple of years ago, I went to a meeting. A couple of guys brushed me off. I think so, Kevin, you brushed me off. I wanted to talk to you. Yes, you gave me the card, but I had to make that point too. As an individual, if I come to you, please listen to me. Give me the respect as a veteran. I fought for you in wars. I fought for the Constitution of this country. I don't need nobody to slap me in the face. Other things I want to say. There's a Cherokee Saratoga. As soon as he gets off the ground, he turns at 300 feet AGL. That is not the right procedure. There are other people that have gone and take off from the taxiway because the runway closed. That is not permitted. Meanwhile, the reckless pilot took off on a closed runway via a taxiway. That's what's going on in Mary Island. So please, have those folks stop the desegregation, stop racial profile. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Tom Consbrook. I'm a pilot, airplane owner, Merritt Island. Also the treasurer of the EAA chapter there. And I'm the volunteer support network for AOPA. I just want to thank you for I know a number of people have written you letters, basically sharing information. I have certainly written you. I've provided you some facts and some figures from several pilots that I've talked to regarding this issue. And I just want to thank you in advance for taking all that into your consideration. If the decision ends up being that the two flag organization is not evicted, I still think we have a safety issue that we need to work as collaborative pilots and other organizations that we really need to address that issue. I have talked with probably over 100 pilots in the last 6 months. And I would say easily 80% of them have had some sort of safety issue. No one wants a tragic situation or a tragic event at Merritt Island or in any airport. So I just want to thank you for listening, careful evaluation of the information and data that has been provided to you. And I wish you the best of luck in your decision.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
It was mentioned earlier that Kevin was dumbfounded, all these reports of safety issues, but when you look online on the.
That's a good question. It's a
Why are
good
they
question.
not?
I've had a number of conversations with people. The proper way to deal with the safety issues to file a report. You can file a NASA report, as you guys all know. And typically what happens is those reports will go, and if there are enough of them on a single airport, then the FAA may send a team out from the FSDO to do an evaluation or an investigation. I don't know how long those investigations take, but if it's a couple hours or a day, they don't find anything, they come back, they write you a letter, they say, a lot of people realize or they believe that that is a very, very slow process to address safety issues.
So you think
And,
it's
you
just
you know, the
feeling that isn't gonna do anything, there's a reason they're not.
that
doing it?
is a big part of it. And if we continue in our current operation the way we have it at Merritt Island, we're gonna have to put a campaign together for everybody to file a report on every single issue out there. And I've been guilty of it. I had someone coming right at me on downwind, the same altitude, 4 weeks ago. I didn't file a report. I have filed 4 NASA reports in my 20-year flying career. I didn't file one because I really didn't think at the time it would make much difference. And so I'm guilty as well. And I can commit to filing reports from here on out. That's what it's going to be. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you have any facts here? Sorry, I'm Jerome Duque. I'm Director of Operations for Fly Airborne from Viera here in Brevard. So I've been part of the company for 14 of the last 17 years. And there's certain information here because not everyone was here the last time, but I may be repeating. It's just for the others who weren't here as well. I'm proud to be part of it because it's a company that contributes financially to the local community. It's close to 200,000 every month. A company that supports local aviation programs. We have supported Dream Flights Tour, Cops and Kids, just summer program just about 2 weeks ago. Viera High School Future Aviators, Young Eagles of the EAA. We even donated a plane to Eau Valley High for their aviation mechanic program. We always help out with the air shows held in Cocoa Beach. We make adjustments on our operations to be a good neighbor in the community. It's a company that worked with the community after Hurricane Dorian. We did 60 plus sorties to the Bahamas and brought 41,000 pounds of food, medicine, clothes, etc., all for free, back and forth for a span of about 7 days. When it comes to the noise, we follow the FAA prescribed noise abatement. I speak with different people in the community and have made adjustments again on our operations as much as we can. Adjustments of what time we started the operations, etc. There are programs, we reduce our flights, and all of this costs the company money. And this are, if it's for the community to help the community, the owners are for it. On safety, we have the authorities that deem our operation safe. We are 141 approved. We just a week ago just got approved for another extension of 2 years by the FAA. We're regularly checked and have maintained our certificates. We in the aviation world know how strict and stringent EASA is, right? The FAA equivalent of the FAA, the European equivalent of the FAA. We're approved by them. We also had the highest pass mark for the ATPL testing around the world. With the FAA, we have more than 600 check rides and the pass mark of close to 90%. The IR, in fact, right now is at 93%. We utilized 17 examiners 2 years ago, 13 last year. This year, we've already used 9. Not only examiners, DPEs from the state, but also from out of state. So we have from Arizona, from Pennsylvania, different states. And the examiners are mostly from here. So we have graduated students from 47 different countries and have placed them in 43 different airlines. Southwest, Piedmont, United, Delta, Alaska, American, JetBlue, Qantas in Australia, Air India, Air Asia, Indigo, Qatar, British Airways, Emirates. There's a lot, okay? If we know how strict the airlines are in accepting people and all the different authorities, aviation authorities in the different countries, for all of them to accept our students and deem them safe, and even the FAA and EASA, you know, again, there will be people who will have their opinions, but it's the authorities who will decide, are we safe or are we not? And so far they have.
Do you need more time?
Just a minute, if I may.
Can I get someone?
Approve 1 minute.
Okay, so
Second.
there's
All in
no.
favor?
Right.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. No flight school is perfect, and we're not claiming to be one. But there is a level of safety that is acceptable. Again, with all of this, the different authorities. And again, we would like to improve, and that's why we're willing to listen, and we're willing to, Tom here, I've spoken with Tom before, I've spoken with Dawn, and we're willing to adjust. What we're asking for right now with the eviction is to give us ample time. But while we're here, we're willing to coordinate. We've always done that. Justin, I speak with Kevin, they've seen us when we've spoken with people here in the tower and all that. We are willing to coordinate. We're willing to help, to work together with people. Whether it's transitioning here or transitioning elsewhere. All we're requesting for is time so that we'd be able to do this realistically. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is the correct traffic pattern entry?
Well, this isn't public comment. You guys can talk about it.
Yeah,
We can talk about that. Outside the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment?
I would just say, to follow up on what Tom mentioned, I moved here in 2000, had my Mooney there. And Tony Yacona was running the safety side. And he was very good at making sure everybody did the things the way they should be done and were courteous and consistent. If we had somebody like Tony that could take and talk with people, I think it would help everybody's operations.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, then at this point, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
You get a spot yet?
Thank you, John.
Got an email with the date, but I got another